Calaroga Shark Media.
Hello, I'm Johnny Mac with your daily comedy news. I'm laughing because I sound different in my own ears. My dog ate my headphones. So I'm using, actually today, a pair I got from the airline. And you know what great quality airline headphones are. I digress. Tonight is the Oscars. I did a preview episode of the Oscars yesterday, if you want to check that out. And we'll talk about Shane Gillis hosting Saturday Night Live. We'll talk about that tomorrow as well. Bill Burr called Elon Musk an effing baby and just like Hitler. This happened on Bill Burr's podcast. Apparently, Twitter had flagged Bill Burr's account after Burr had made fun of Elon Musk's awkward wave. Bill said, "What happened to the Twitter guy? Guy lost his effing mind. That effing Twitter guy, he literally Sieg-Heiled. He didn't just heil. You can accidentally heil, but when you have the Sieg, you mean it." Burr said, "I'd say it was funny. I made fun of the Twitter guy for Sieg-Heiling not once, but twice. And I never look at my emails. I was scrolling through my emails and it said my Twitter account had been flagged. I don't even tweet anymore. What an effing baby. Just like Hitler, an effing baby." Burr then goes on to rant how Hitler was one of the biggest effing cowards ever for killing himself instead of facing the music. Burr then went on to rant about Hitler, calling Hitler one of the biggest cowards ever for killing himself instead of facing the music at the end of World War II. There's been a lot of Bill Burr press. He's out promoting Glengarry Glen Ross right now, and I'm starting to wonder, is Bill going to lose the old fans? And I'm not sure why I'm feeling that, but I'm feeling it. I think it's a combination of being overexposed, a little too much Bill Burr lately, and I've said that about a few comedians. Jim Gaffigan needs to tap the brakes. Nikki Glaser needs to tap the brakes. I feel like there's just a little bit much to Bill Burr, and the Bill Burr we're increasingly getting is some sort of mainstream media Bill Burr and not the quote-unquote angry Bill Burr of his youth. Bill's got a special coming up later this month, so we'll be getting a lot of Bill press in the next few weeks. Mae Martin spoke to the LA Times. Mae has made a rock album. The LA Times asked Mae, "This is obviously a tense time for a non-binary Canadian comedian in the U.S. How you holding up?" Mae said, "Like everybody, I'm full of existential dread and trying not to let the doom permeate too much and not to be paralyzed by how hopeless it all feels right now, because I know that it's not hopeless. It just feels like such a massive step back. I have a lot of friends who are articulate activists, and I try to take my clues from them." LA Times, "This election cycle showed how some elements of stand-up comedy culture drive a lot to the far right, with President Trump going on Joe Rogan and Tony Hinchcliffe performing at a Trump rally. Dave Chappelle arguably contributed to the current anti-trans backlash in his work. The question, is it unnerving to see people with backgrounds in stand-up having this direct line to the far right in power?" Mae said, "Yeah, it's very strange, but I can see where they met because governments reach into reality TV now. You've got the host of The Apprentice. Of course, he's going to want to talk to the host of Fear Factor." That's funny, but those guys you're referencing, they're not part of my comedy community. I don't think about them. What I want is for you to engage in combat with them. I'd rather be aligned with qualified people and thinkers and scientists. I hope that the heroes of mine are still fighting the good fight and not falling into this perception that the enemy is the woke left. The San Diego Union Tribune caught up with Jerry Seinfeld and Jim Gaffigan. They asked Jim, one of your favorite comedy topics has been your weight battle. Has your perspective on food changed, and do you and Jerry eat together when on tour? Gaffigan said, "Jerry eats more during the day than anyone I've ever seen, and I'm an eater. He eats breakfast and then he eats lunch. Then come around 5 o'clock, he's so disciplined he stops eating. I have no discipline, but I'm more of a late night eater, which is probably the healthiest time to do it. Especially a big steak and burgers. Then I can climb in bed and see how many nightmares I have. The great thing about an appetite suppressant is that I still have the desire, but just consume like a human being rather than a dog." That got a laugh out of Jerry. The conversation moved to the current news cycle. Jim said, "We live in such a 24-hour news cycle. I like to give these people, the audience, credit that they're mourning whatever crisis, man-made or natural. But at the shows, they go out of their way not to acknowledge that. I'd say that after 9/11, it was weird performing, but otherwise, humans are always looking to embrace denial." Jerry said, "We're never in a good place. It doesn't matter what's going on in the world. I went to the premiere of Amy Schumer's new movie, Kinda Pregnant, and sat in a packed movie theater, and everybody laughed their heads off from start to finish." Really, Jerry? Everybody laughed their heads off at Kinda Pregnant? Who was in the audience? I digress. Jerry says, "That's what a comedy show is. You're enjoying the movie, but also 50% of the fun is being around people who are laughing and everybody forgets what they were upset about. What an amazing feeling it was to sit in an audience. It's like Jurassic Park with dinosaur rides." Good question here. What are some of the things making you laugh right now? Jerry said, "I've been thinking about the number of different fake identities I assume to be a husband and a father. I actually had a chameleon, and the cute little lizard asked me, 'How are you able to transform yourself like that?' And I said to the lizard, 'Coming from you, that's a real compliment.'" I got a laugh out of Jim. Jerry continued, "I've learned audiences really think that I'm this person who is thoughtful and empathetic to their problems and interested in their day, and they're buying it." Jim said, I'm going to a middle school basketball game today and then a girls' high school basketball game after that, and there's some anxiety in my life. It's very rah-rah at the games, and I think you shouldn't say anything. I'm amazed at parents that lose it at these games. I can't believe they really care. I'm always nervous about committing to the kids' games, but don't know what the schedule is. The last thing you want to say is I'll be there and don't show up and there's 10 years of therapy. Jerry commented, if your father showed up at everything you did, you'd think, what's wrong with him? Is dad okay? Jim said, my dad came to a couple football games, but it would be weird if he came to everything. Now, if you don't go to a game, you're considered the great Satan. Parents, I will tell you, those years go fast. I feel like it was 5 minutes ago. I was the coach of some 5-year-old rec soccer kids, and they're all graduating college now. It goes so fast. Enjoy all those games. I disagree with Jim and Jerry. Make every game that you can. This has been my first fall and now spring as an empty nester, and 2 weeks ago I said to my wife, it's 6:38 p.m., and I've watched 2 movies already. I don't know what to do with myself. Now, once it gets warm, I'll go outside, we'll go hiking, and hiking be a generous term, walking out in the forest somewhere. I'll start doing that, and I'll start running again, but it has just been so cold. I've just been watching everything. Have you watched Paradise yet, by the way? Watch Paradise. This weekend's episode of Paradise was one of the top episodes of television ever. No qualifier there. Did you hear me what I said? This weekend's Paradise was one of the best episodes of television ever. No qualifier. I'm not going to tell you what the show's about. I'm not going to tell you why I'm saying that. Just watch Paradise. It's on Hulu. I digress again. Rosebud Baker talked to the Hollywood Reporter. They were curious how she finds the difference between watching herself perform as opposed to watching the SNL cast perform the material she writes for SNL. Great question. Rosebud said, I get the same juice from it. I really love getting a win. That means getting people to laugh whether or not I'm the person performing it. It's funny, when I started as a stand-up, I didn't think I wanted to write stuff that someone else got to do, but now it's a really good feeling. And the thing about SNL is that it's a collective win, so you don't necessarily get credit for your specific line or joke, but when it's a loss, it's a collective loss. Rosebud, what's it like getting back to stand-up after having the baby? Rosebud said, the first time going back on stage was wild. I felt like I'd gone to space and come back, and I was like, I went to space. And everybody's like, yeah, okay, we've seen pictures of space. And I'm like, but these are my pictures of space. They're mine. You feel so weirdly separate from the world, and especially from the comedy world. I had to find my footing. Hollywood Reporter, you have a few jokes in the special about feeling as though men are useless when going through things like IVF. Do men get the absurdity of the gender gaps in those experiences? Rosebud said, look, the short answer is, I don't care. The longer answer is, if men are able to watch it and laugh at it, that does make me happy because I do want comedy to be a unifying thing. That's what I aim for. That being said, when I was writing this, I was thinking of women because I was writing from my perspective. I thought, this one's for the girlies, but I've been surprised at the number of men that have responded to the special. I don't hate it. I'll take the win. And then they were curious what part of SNL 50 she liked. And she said, I was lucky-ish, because it's a double-edged sword, but I did get the week of the 50th off because it was the senior writers and the alumni who were writing for the special. So I was just able to enjoy the show and the party, which was really nice. It helped remind me what a legendary place this is to work. You can lose sight of that when you come in every day. Your heroes are hanging on the walls, but that doesn't always sink in. Being there at that show, it really sunk in how lucky I am. This is part of comedy history, and I got to be there. That Rosebud piece reminded me that I hadn't seen any press about George Lopez at all. Remember, he had a comedy special that came and went and nobody talked about it, and as of this recording, I haven't watched yet. Let me type George Lopez into Google, see what comes up. George Lopez is almost unrecognizable now with long hair. George is only 63 and he's retiring. That's curious. Let's see. Yep. From a month ago. All these articles about his hair. So he apparently did no press for that special. That's just weird. Really weird. Let's file that away in the back of our mind because sometime in the next X years, we're going to find out why there was no press for this special. I've been doing this for a while. There's going to be something there. Colin Jost dug through 12 dumpsters of trash trying to find wife Scarlett Johansson's lost engagement ring. Colin told a story on Pop Culture Jeopardy and said, it was a great day for me. One time, Scarlett told Jost she thought she might have accidentally thrown the ring in the trash. Colin goes through 12 dumpsters and says, I went back to the house and she said, oops, it was in my pocket. I understand. I'm somebody who, 9 times a day will ask my wife, have you seen my keys? And they're in my hand. Or have you seen my phone? And they're in my pocket. And I'll find my keys on my phone and my keys will be in my pocket. I'm that person. You don't want to live with me. Rachel Dratch is bringing her comedic talent to the Uniworld Boutique River Cruise inaugural women-only cruise. Yes, do you want to sail through France on the SS Catherine beginning August 24th? Rachel Dratch will be there. The crew says, we're beyond excited to welcome the incredibly talented and hilarious Rachel Dratch aboard our special women-only cruise. This cruise is all about bringing women together to share new experiences, create friendships, and enjoy plenty of laughter along the way. So is this the new thing, cruises? Now, men, I'll remind you, we have our own cruise. It's called Bert Kreischer's Fully Loaded at Sea. So if you want to take your shirt off and do manly man stuff, yeah, Bert Kreischer does these. Doesn't look like there's a new one scheduled. But there is the Nate Bargatze cruise coming up. Now, that one's probably family-friendly, right? I don't think we're going to be taking our shirt off and doing whatever us guys do when the women aren't around. We're not going to be doing that on the Nate cruise. That's for the Bert cruise. But there's no Bert cruise scheduled right now. Looking at the pictures, looks like it was fun. Anyway, that's your comedy news for today. All right, we'll talk Oscars and Shane Gillis in the morning. See you then.